Now we are going to start with the chemical properties of alkenes. So the first major property which I have for you or you can say a crucial property for alkenes or an unsaturated compound is the addition reaction. As you all know that alkanes cannot actually undergo addition reaction because they don't have an extra bond. But if we compare alkanes with alkenes or alkanes with alkynes, alkenes and alkynes both form an unsaturated system. That means they contain an extra bond. Like alkenes have a double bond, alkynes have triple bond. So that means they have an ability actually that they can break their extra bond and can make any atom or a group of atom attached to them, right. So this is what is the addition reaction. So as the alkenes possess that extra bond, so that means they can add up a substance. So here we have a few addition reaction for you. Out of them, the first is the addition of hydrogen. So let's see that what is addition of hydrogen. So let's say this is my alkene. You can take any alkene, right. As I have taken ethene, you can take propene, butene, pentene, any of that. We are adding hydrogen to it. So, or you can say it is actually a reduction also, because we know that addition of hydrogen is also referred to as reduction. This reaction actually takes place in presence of a catalyst, that is nickel, platinum, palladium, any you can use. Nickel actually requires higher temperature, approximately equal to 573 Kelvin. So what is going to happen, this H2 is going to attach to the C and C across this double bond, because they only possess the double bond, right. So what is going to happen, the bond will break into single and one H will get attached to here and one H will get attached to here. Because when we are performing this kind of reactions, we have to keep in mind that the valency of carbon should not exceed 4, right. So here we need to break that bond. So now if I count the valency, so it is 2, 3 and 4. So that means it is forming 4 bonds. So that means tetravalency is totally satisfied. Likewise, if I have the, I have to show addition across any other alkene, let's say propene. So it's like that. So when you are going to add H2 to it, again in the presence of catalyst, this H2 is not going to attach to this or this. Obviously it is going to attach to an unsaturated system. That means it is going to attach equally to the carbon atoms which are involved in the double bond. So that means what product I will get, CH3, it will remain as such. CH, double bond will get single, CH2, one H will attach to this thing, CH, another H to this. So this is what we get, propane. So this reaction is actually given a special name also, as this reaction is called as hydrogenation of oils. It is called as hydrogenation of oils. And what's that? It is the process of converting the vegetable oil into vanspati ghee. That means process of converting the unsaturated fat into a saturated fat by adding hydrogen in presence of catalyst, that is nickel. And when the reduction is carried out in the presence of reducing agent like nickel, platinum, palladium, I told you. So the nickel somewhat has a special name for that. So if the nickel is involved in the hydrogenation, it is also called as Sabatier-Sedana reduction. And it is one of the process of preparing an alkane also. That means if you add hydrogen to an unsaturated compound, it changes into an alkane. So ultimately it is a method also to prepare an alkane. So this is what is the addition of hydrogen. The second addition reaction which I am going to show you is the addition of X. What is X? X here refers to halogen, fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, either of that, right. So what I am going to do is I am going to show you the addition of halogen. So let's say this is my ethene, I am going to add some halogen, let's take chlorine, right. So again what is going to happen, one Cl is going to attach here, one Cl is going to attach. Obviously every time the addition reaction is going to occur in a similar manner, that means a group or a group of atom is going to attach to the carbon atoms which are directly involved in the double bond. So this is what we get. What is it? It is 1,2-dichloroethane. You all know how to write the IUPACs now. Suppose if I am going to add bromine now, so let's say this is my CH2, my ethene. I am going to add bromine. So obviously the reaction will occur in a similar manner. Now this reaction actually solve a certain purpose, like this reaction is actually a test for unsaturation. It is a test for unsaturation because the bromine which we use is actually reddish brown in color. But when it gets attached, if we talk about the product, it is actually colorless. So whenever you like somebody give you an organic compound and ask you to identify as alkene or alkyne, what you can do is you can perform the this thing bromine water test. What you need to do is you need to add bromine to it, and what has happened initially, the bromine color is reddish brown, but when you add and just shake the test tube, what you get is you get a product which is actually colorless. So if the brown color of bromine, reddish brown color of bromine gets discharged, so obviously it is a unsaturated compound. So this is what is the addition of halogen. The third addition which I am going to show you is addition of, we will be taking HX, the third is the addition of HX. This is very important, as I am going to show you very important things in it. It involves certain rules which you can say which is very important if you see exam point of view, right. So just concentrate on board as it is very important. So third is addition of HX. What is HX? HX is halogen acid. This is acid, obviously any substance which possesses H is an acid, and X refers to fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, that means it is a halogen acid. So let's say that, let's take an example as HCl, HX as HCl. So this is my ethene, I am going to add HCl to it. Obviously as I told you that it is going to break in this manner. So one atom is going to attach to one carbon atom, another to the other carbon atom of the double bond. So what is going to happen? Let's say this attached this way. So it becomes CH3, double bond becomes single, and it becomes CH2Cl. That means you get the chloroethane, But actually this reaction occur, you know that when we are adding the halogen acid, it matters that what the product is formed, because sometimes the reaction is taking place in the dark or in the absence of any peroxide, and sometimes we get to see that the reaction is occurring in place of, you can say in presence of peroxide. So we have two conditions actually. The reaction like when we perform a reaction with this thing halogen acid, the reaction occur under two conditions. First is under dark or the absence of peroxide, it is one and the same thing. Second, in the presence of peroxide. And this rule actually get applied when we talk about unsymmetrical alkenes. So let's take an unsymmetrical alkene. So let's say this is my alkene. I am going to add, let's say, HBr to it. Now when I am going to add an HBr, because in this case we had only two carbon atoms, so we can attach H to this or this, doesn't matter, or you attach Cl to this or this, doesn't matter. But when we are talking about unsymmetrical alkene, we can actually get two products. So let's say we are adding this, we are doing this reaction in presence of dark. So what happens? So we can get two products actually. So let's say in the one, what I am doing is I am going to attach H to this place and negative part Br to this place. So what I am going to get is I am going to get this thing. Now in second condition what I am doing is I am going to attach this time H to this place and Br to this place. So what I will get is CH3 CH Br, bond becomes single and we get CH3. Now you can do the addition in two ways. Now out of these two products, which product is actually stable or which product you will consider. Then at this time what we obey is we obey Markovnich's rule. Markovnich's rule. What does this rule actually states? It states that whenever you are adding a substance, suppose we are adding HX, right? So in this HX, one is a positive part and other is a negative part. So according to Markovnich's, when you are adding this kind of thing HX to an unsymmetrical alkene, then the negative part attaches to the carbon atom which carries lesser number of hydrogen atom, and this attaches to a carbon which carries more number of hydrogen atom. Again, according to Markovnich's, the negative part of the substance is added to the carbon atom of the double bond which has actually lesser number of hydrogen atom, and the hydrogen is going to attach to the carbon atom which bears more number of carbon atom. So as you can see here, this is our positive part and this is my negative part. So according to Markovniks, the negative part should be present, will get attached to a carbon atom which carries less number of hydrogen atom. So out of them, which carries less number of hydrogen atom? Obviously this one carries. So that means the product should be like this, and H gets attached which carries maximum number, that means CH2. So our product should be this, that means this is preferred. This is preferred. The reason being is like when we will study about the mechanism for this reaction, we will get to know that in this case this is a, you can say, a primary carbocation is formed in the reaction, and this secondary carbocation is formed in the reaction, and we know that these alkyl groups are actually electron releasing groups. So they will somehow try to reduce the effect of the positive charge, and out of 1 degree and 2 degree, obviously the 2 degree carbocation is more stable. So that is why we prefer this kind of product. That means whenever you are adding anything to the unsymmetrical alkenes, then the negative part is going to attach to the carbon atom, particularly of the double bond, to which or you can say which to that carbon atom which actually carries lesser number of hydrogen atom, and the hydrogen to the carbon which carries maximum number of hydrogen atom. So this is what is the addition of HX or an HBr. This rule actually obeys maximum time you get a question involving HBr. Now this we have done, that we can do this reaction in presence of dark. This is what I have shown you, right? But we can do this similar addition in presence of peroxide also. Let's see that where the difference lies. Suppose I have an unsymmetrical alkene, again the same one. I am going to add HBr, but this time I am going to do the reaction in presence of peroxide. Let's say benzoyl peroxide. Its formula is C6H5CO whole twice. So let's say I am doing this reaction in presence of peroxide, that is particularly benzoyl peroxide. So what happens? Again in this case, the addition can occur in both the ways. Again this can occur in both ways. But at this time, what rule we follow is, we follow anti-Markovniks rule. We follow anti-Markovniks rule, also called as Kärch effect, also called as peroxide effect. Either of the name you can use. So it is actually anti to the Markovniks rule. That means according to this, the negative part is going to attach to the carbon atom which carries more number of hydrogen atom, and this is going to attach to the carbon atom which carries lesser number of hydrogen atom. That means the Markovniks rule actually gets reversed, right? So this is what is going to happen here. So if you see a question like this, when you are adding HBr in presence of peroxide, then what happens? The negative part attaches to the carbon atom which bears more number of hydrogen atom, that means to this, and this attaches to a carbon atom which bears less number of hydrogen atom. So as a result, what we get is, we get CH3, CH2, bond becomes single, and this is CH2Br, that means 1 degree. So actually this I think you can easily make a difference between them, as when you do it for unsymmetrical alkenes in presence of dark, whether you add HBr, whether you add HCl, whether you add hydrogen iodide, it will remain as such. But this peroxide effect, the Kärch effect, or you can say the anti-Markovniks rule, is applicable mostly in case of HBr, because only this is stable actually, right? Otherwise, if you see for HCl and this thing HI, only this is going to occur, this won't occur. So this anti-Markovniks rule particularly work for HBr and in the presence of peroxide. That is why it is called as in peroxide effect. Next addition, what we are going to do is addition of H2SO4. Let's see that what happened when we add H2SO4. So this is my ethene. I am going to add H2SO4. I can also write in this manner, because in this they are going to split like this. So this is my negative part and this is my positive part. Again it will obey Markovniks rule. That means, but this is an this symmetrical alkene, so you can add either side. So it becomes CH3, bond becomes single, CH2OSO3H. This is what we get. Now you must have this thing, you must remember that we did in this thing when we were preparing alkenes. I told you about a reaction in which we were able to prepare alkene from an alcohol, right? What we were doing there, that we were dehydrating an alcohol. That means we had an alcohol, we added few drops of concentrated sulfuric acid, the water gets eliminated and it results in formation of alkene. So this reaction is actually reverse of that. So how this happen actually? See, when we add H2SO4 to alkene, what happens? It turns into a this product. Now when you add water to it, to this product, you add water to it, so what happens? CH3 remains CH3, CH2 like this is H and OH. So H gets attached to this group actually, so you get H2SO4 and this OH group attached to this. So this is something called as hydration of alkene. That was dehydration of alcohol and this is hydration of alkene. So you can do in a reverse manner. So this is also an important reaction. So I think it's clear that how this H2SO4 facilitate the formation of alcohol from alkene or alkene from alcohol, you get it from this point, right? So this is what is the addition of sulfuric acid. Next we have is addition of hypohalous acid. Addition of hypohalous acid. Now first of all you should know that what is hypohalous acid. It is actually an acid in which there is present this group and an halogen. In this act as a positive part and this act as a negative part. So to an alkene you are going to add it. So as it is symmetrical you can add either side. So let us add OH here, bond becomes single and X this side. So this is something called as the general name halohydrin. This is actually a halohydrin in which contains the halogen also and it is termed as hydrin also. So it is something called as halohydrin. And if in case you get an unsymmetrical alkene, this will actually follow the same rule, that is the Markovnich's rule that we did for an HBr. So whenever you are adding any substance which contain a positive and a negative part, then you need to follow Markovnich's rule. But when you get this thing addition in presence of peroxide for HBr, you are going to use the anti-Markovnich's rule, right? So next is addition of water. So in this case also what you get to see, suppose we have ethene, I am going to add water. Water again has negative and positive part, so you can attach to either side. But if in case you have unsymmetrical alkene, let us say like this, and you are going to add water, then this is going to attach, negative part is going to attach to the carbon which carries lesser number of hydrogen atom. So it is somehow bond becomes single and this is this. This is you can say that it is actually prop 2 all, or you can say 2 propanol. So this is what is the addition reaction. So out of all these things, I think it's clear that the alkene, because it possesses an extra bond, so that is why it has the ability to undergo an addition reaction, and you can add this much substances to it. And as far as Markovnich's and anti-Markovnich's rule are concerned, they are obeyed only to a group of atom which bears a positive and a negative charge, or you can say in which the bond is somehow somehow polar. So this is what is the addition reaction.